Hey everybody, this is Billy at Baker's Hotel. We're with Jared Coe from Cope's Tackle and Rod. All right?
You got it.
Got it, man. I get those mixed up.
Rod and tackle, tackle and rod, same idea.
Yeah. Hey, we're out here doing some crappie fishing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We brought Steve, the crappie master, out here. He's been up a couple of times and really put us on him quickly today.
Yeah.
So it's been good, a real good bite. A little bit of wind this morning, but a little chilly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's been good fishing.
Yeah. You know, I've been. We wanted to come out here because Facebook, everybody's just posting these monster catches, right? I mean, if they're reeling in their. What's the limit on crappie?
25 per person.
25 per person.
Yeah, yes.
And people are hitting them. I mean, they're getting those limits, right?
Yeah, I think right now the limits are pretty easy to get. Getting some decent size and some keepers can be a little bit tougher. But overall, most guys, I mean, you can come up here in the morning, get your limit. You can be back at work by 9 a.m. and have a fish fry that night.
yeah. So, you know what? Let's talk about the setup that you have here because, I tried it out. I like it. It's a light test line with a light rod. And I like that because, these aren't very aggressive. And a lot of times it kind of feels like you're just running through some moss, but really it's a hit. And so you have to feel that.
Absolutely. So we're using just ultralight or light gear today. I've got just a new, this is an Okuma reel. It's a size 10, or a lot of guys would call it a size 1000. It's probably one of the smaller spinning size reels, and some 4-pound tests on there.
Yeah.
I always stick with my fluorocarbon, but really for the crappie, the monofilament's just fine.
It's important to go with as light a test as you can, right?
Yeah, I think two to 4. I mean, you could probably get away with 6, but you just, you saw this is a 1/16 ounce jig, and with that light line and this ultra light rod, I can fling that thing halfway across the lake.
It gets out there big time.
Yeah, and one of the great things about crappie fishing is it's super simple. So this, like I said, a 1/16 ounce jig, and this jig here we're using, this is just a clear one.
Yeah.
These are, there's all sorts of different colors and styles. They range from anywhere from 50 cents to $1 a piece, and you can sit there and catch fish after fish on it. I'm going to show one of Steve's tricks here, and I'm sure he'll show you this again when we talk to him. But the crappie nibbles, are a real good additive to the jig. And so instead of fishing these on their own, if you take one and just put it on the end of your jig there, okay, I think the fish kind of key in on it, but Steve is saying, hey, when they hit this, the plastic has no taste, so if you miss the fish, they'll come right back because that niblet has that taste on there.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what we've been using today. Primarily, we've used some with spinners on them, but just a clear jig has kind of been the hot ticket.
Yeah, real simple.
Yeah. We've had to weed through some smaller ones, and we're finally getting into some decent size, and looks like we'll have a couple of limits out here, no problem.
Yeah. One thing, too, with these is, slow is good, like when you're reeling them in. A lot of times, like, I'll feel one hit, and then you kind of whoa it back a little bit and just give them a chance, you know what I mean? A lot of times they come back and they get it,
I think there's a couple key little spots, and I'm going to have you talk with Steve over here, but he was showing me a couple of shelves that if you just laid it in the right spot, it's a fish every time. So I think it's just a matter of finding the right cast and then duplicating it over and over again,
Very cool. A little windy out here than we thought it would be, right?
Yeah. I mean, usually by 11 o'clock it picks up, but this morning, man, we caught it early, so it's kind of calming down a little bit. But if it's windy in the morning, who knows what it'll be like at noon,
The fish bites really picked up, too, when the sun came out. It warms up the water a little bit, and they get a little bit more active.
Good, correct. I feel. Yeah. What time we start here? About 5:45, and what is it now? About 7 o'clock. It really started getting good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, I want to show you this really cool cave structure. Look at these boulders, man. These are just absolutely mammoth, right? They're just huge boulders. And can you imagine, like, when the water level? Because you can see the water level actually goes up, right? It's actually higher than these at some time. It's been, if you could believe that. Can you imagine what this is like? When this thing's full of water, this underwater cave. Can you imagine that, dude? Isn't that awesome? I mean, look at this. I mean, this boulder that I'm sitting under right now, I don't even know how much that thing weighs. It's probably, it's enormous. These are just monsters. Look at that. Cool. When you come up here too, you gotta be real careful, because you know what else likes these boulders, all these little crevices right here? Rattlesnakes, man. They are everywhere, so you got to be real careful walking around here. You got to watch your step, keep your ears open. See rattlesnake, kind of get clear. The nice thing about this granite, though, is that it's very grippy, so you don't have to worry too much about slipping. It's pretty good. But really, the landscape here is just so beautiful, and really cool place to go fishing. You look, they got a beach area right there. A lot of wildflowers out right now. So great place to bring the kids, have a good day of it. Man, we pulled up a lot of crappie today. I'd say 100 easy. Every cast it seemed like pulling one in, so yeah, really cool.
This is a good friend of mine, Steve. Steve's a master outdoorsman. I mean, he was just telling me stories about how he takes his dual sport motorcycle and heads out to the hills out here for the deer hunting. And I think he's probably been up here 3 or 4 times this week getting some crappie. And I think recently had a trip to the Eastern Sierras. So Steve's what every outdoorsman wants to be: free time and a master of what he does. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about the crappie bite out here.
Well, for the first year and some amount of years, I think it's probably better than it has been in recent years. It's just such an easy trip up here from Bakersfield. You know, you're up here in 45, 50 minutes, get here early in the morning, you're back at work by 8, 9 o'clock, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, it's an underutilized resource up here, it really is.
Right. Yeah, is there a technique that you like to use, or certain points you like, or?
You know, I've been watching a lot of guys do it. I kind of have a retrieve with a small jerk to it. It seems to work for me. A lot of guys, you got to sort of figure out where the fish are suspended. Are they on the bottom? Are they schooled up in balls, 8 feet down, 4 feet down, surface, you know? So you just kind of got to fish around for it and figure out exactly where they're at.
Very cool.
There's a lot of different ways to do it, you know, and then a guy would be remiss if you didn't bring other colors. You know, today's white with some glitter seems to be the thing, but some days they want a little bit of red, some days a little pink, blue, red, you know, yellow, whatever the case may be.
What are the optimum biting times you think with these out here?
Well, this year it's been so darn good. I've caught them in the afternoons. I've caught them in the mornings, midday, you know.
Yeah.
It's just been one of those years. I wish there was a bite. I missed him. Let's see if he comes back here.
And Steve, so tell me, you helped some people the other day that were maybe struggling a little bit. Tell me what happened.
Oh, that's actually kind of funny because I'm standing on the same rock. I came around from the other side, which is a little bit of a task to get around, and I could just see right behind where you guys are standing a fishing pole coming up, but I couldn't see the person. And I got to here, and I was catching a fish every cast. I mean, literally every cast. And I heard her, you know, kind of come over and look because the fish were splashing and all. And she didn't say anything. I just said hi. Then after a few more fish, I heard her tell her dad, he's got another one, you know. So finally her father came around to where you guys are standing and said, oh my gosh, you're catching a fish every cast. What are you doing? And I said, well, just, you know, real simple thing. And so they had these little plastic jigs on, but they just weren't presenting the bait right. They had a split shot up here, which just made the action just that little bit different. And so I have extras in my backpack, so I gave them both some of these little lead-headed hooks and some plastics. I even had some little pink ones that were my daughter's back in the day, so I gave those to the little girl, and she caught one with her very first cast when she put it out there. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. You know, the whole thing, the reason we do this, right, is to pass it on to our kids. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, what greater thing can you do than to come have fun with your kids? So that was a fun day.
Yeah, very cool.
Good deal.
All right, well, I mean, I don't know, how many fish you think we caught today?
Oh, I don't know. I got 100. I felt like.
I'll say, like, I felt like I was kind of probably over 100.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the rod and reel you got here.
All right. This is a new Phoenix Elixir series.
Elixir, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 6.5 foot, lightweight. It's just fantastic for filling these light hits.
Yeah.
Ultralight. Then this Lose Reel, run 4-pound on it. It's nothing special. It's just lightweight. Sensitivity's the thing, you know.
Yeah. I feel you can navigate a lot better with lightweight stuff too. Am I wrong? Like you have more control and finesse with it.
Right, and then using the lighter line, you know, you're going to get more hits.
Right.
Because, you know, obviously the fish would see
Right.
a bigger line.
Yeah. Wind can be a factor with some light line. It died down here. The wind has actually died down a little bit and made it a little easier.
Yeah.
Actually, it seemed like the fishing got a little bit better as the sun came
Yeah.
up and it got
A lot more active.
Yeah, I think you get a little light on the water. They can see your bait better, you know.
I mean, it got to a point literally where like you're having a conversation, you're just like throwing it out, reeling them in, throwing them out, reeling it in. I mean, I don't think you know. I don't think you could fish at like a trout farm or anywhere that you could pull in fish that fast, right? Without even thinking about it. You're not even thinking about catching fish. You're just reeling them in. Yeah.
No, it was
Very
good.
cool.
Yeah.
It was a good morning. What is it now? I think it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're calling it a day to get back to our real jobs
Yeah.
after slaying crappie for a couple hours. So
Yeah.
it was a good
And,
morning.
But you've got to have some really, really bad days, which we've all had, right?
Yeah.
To appreciate days.
I heard someone's going to see this video and come out here and expect to have all that, and they're not going to get a bite, and they're going to say like, "What? No." But some days, like you said, and this is the time to do it. If you're going to do, this is it right here. This is crappie season at Lake Isabella. You don't have to have a boat. We're right here on the shore, and it ends when? Into June?
We probably got a few weeks left.
Yeah,
maybe
I
a
would
month.
say it'll probably go into June a little bit.
Right. And the jigs, you don't need anything crazy. I mean, a simple jig, right?
Simple jig. If it gets tougher, a lot of times you guys will want to use minnows or shiners. They're a better bait, but right now the fishing is so wide open that just these jigs do just as well as anything.
I think if you're wanting to get a variety of fish too, like, you know, have that one chance to grab a trout or grab a bass, the spinner is a good addition to it. If you're just strictly looking for the crappie, just having the jig on there is probably good enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then if you have a 2-pole license, you can throw one of these out on a bobber and throw your spinner, you know,
Yeah.
out there. So
Yeah.
you're double your chances.
Right. Very cool. I had a lot of fun out here, man. It's hard not to have fun when you're reeling them in that fast. So anyway, very cool. Come out to Lake Isabella, and the crappie fishing is hot. So
Yeah, we can pull up and just kind of take a look at the stringer.
what's the limit? Let's tell people the limit real
The
quick.
limit's 25 a
25.
piece, and we didn't quite do our limit today. We could have, but we just were a little more selective on what we kept.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Mike, he really wanted to take some home to cook them, and so it was pretty good. I mean, a lot of the size was in the medium range, and then it's anchored by a couple better fish.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think it was a real good morning.
Right. Hey, I want to talk one thing before I let you go. We talked about that monster crappie you have in there, right? You have one in there. It's a pretty big size. Jared, you actually said it was the biggest one you think you've ever caught.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's my personal best crappie for
Right.
sure, man. I think,
How old does a fish like that get?
Well,
I don't know biologically for sure, but I would have to guess that fish has got to be 4+ years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought a couple years. I was thinking 3.
But I don't know. You may be
Yeah,
very
because I know the lifespan of a crappie is probably what 8 to 10 years, and again, this is strictly a guess at this point. So
depending on the bass
yeah,
population.
Yeah.
Look like the bass eat 'em.
That one's big enough where I don't think a bass is gonna get to him,
yeah,
right?
he's
I mean,
past
that's
the
like
point.
bass size right
yeah,
there.
Yeah, he's past the point of getting eaten for
Right.
sure.
Very cool. Thanks for this trip, guys. I liked it. A lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Billy.
All right. Let's go. Make yourself.